Good evening, dear Dhamma friends. I hope you can hear me. Today, I'm coming to you from the Dhammadharini Monastery in Pengrove. We have a delightful and unusual situation where two of the regular students that I normally see on this little screen are here live and in person. Ran and Aidan are here visiting us together with our dear friend Farron and Seminary Satima and the other bhikkhunis who are here at the monastery. This past Saturday, I had the privilege of giving a live day-long meditation retreat there at the Wat Boudonishorn. And let me take care of the choose spotlight. Okay, spotlight me and spotlighting Wat Boudonishorn. So on Saturday I was there live. It turned out pretty well. And if anybody wants to listen to the talks from that program, they are available at the Dhammadharini YouTube channel. There's another Zoom retreat coming up for me, which is on the theme of the nutriments of existence. This is something like September 8th and 9th. And it's announced in our mailings for those who are signed up on the mailing list to get the notification about the Zoom programs for the week. So I thought that tonight would be a good night to sort of begin to reflect about the nutriments as a kind of a run-up or a rehearsal of preparation for the retreat that'll be coming up in, I guess, a week and a half from now. Let's sit for meditation. And in this case, trying to be especially aware of the moment of contact, which is the point where the touching or the seeing or any of the sense gates, or even the sense gate of the mind towards an idea or a mental object, a memory or something, where that first moment of contact that gives rise to feeling and gives rise to all of the other perception and the other mental activities are all nourished by contact. So whatever we can notice clearly, there's the possibility for mindfulness, clear comprehension, and wisdom to arise. Whatever we don't notice is the opportunity for being carried away by underlying tendencies or carried away by delusion. So just the mere fact of noticing is such a fantastic, powerful medicine to keep the mind in that state of clarity, that state which is guiding us towards wisdom, and that state that's guiding us towards our ultimate well-being. So therefore, my idea for today is I'm just focusing you now on, this is the second of the 4 nutriments. It says that contact, or phassa, is the nutriment for Vedana. That's one of the points that seems very easy to and possible to explore doing sitting meditation. So please come to an upright and balanced posture. Being aware of the physical body, oriented in the space where you are sitting, feeling the contact of the body with the seat or the cushion, and how the body is located within the space where you're sitting, within that room or within that place. Letting go of any stories or thoughts about what happened earlier today or what might happen tomorrow. Just making the determination to be present with the here and now. Bringing awareness to seeing, leaving the eyes open for a moment, just aware of seeing. And afterwards can leave the eyes slightly open, not strongly focused, or can let the eyes be closed. Aware of the contact of seeing. And aware of hearing, any sound that's noticeable. Noticing the contact, the vibration at the ears, at the gate of hearing. Aware of what it's like when a sound comes along. And aware if there's a feeling connected with that, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Aware of the impermanence in sounds. Aware of smelling. If any odor is noticeable where you are sitting. What it's like to notice a smell. If it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And aware of tasting. If there's any taste in the mouth, what it's like. If it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And aware of touching. Scanning with awareness from the top of the head. Aware of the sensation of touching there. the air touching the skin, and the touching below the surface of the muscles or the nerves, under the surface of the head, and on the face, and the torso of the body, front and back, the clothing touching the skin, and the touching sensation underneath the skin, inside the torso. With the arms and the hands touching, the seat and the legs touching, the feet touching, touching sensation wherever it's noticeable on any part of the body, what it's like to be aware of that and the feeling arising from that. And aware of the dhammas that touch the mind. A thought, an intention or plan, a memory, an idea. Just take them as touches, touching the mind. What it's like to be aware of something touching the mind. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And sitting for a little while, keeping the sense gates open, just watching how many touches can we notice and what it's like. seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. So many moments of contact. And if the awareness of so many diverse moments of contact is difficult, even unpleasant. Try to stay with it for a little while longer. And then, if it's too much and the mind inclines to unification and tranquility, and let that alertness for many diverse touches to drop away, and just pay attention to the touch of the breath, breathing in and breathing out with the touch of the breath at the nostrils. A touch is just a touch. Nothing to do except be aware. A feeling is just a feeling. Nothing to do except to be aware. Keeping the same full awareness of the contact with the senses, we're going to go into the devotional chanting. So now you're not only just sitting to be aware, you may be looking at the words, making a sound with the voice, cognizing the meaning of the chanting. Each moment of that is a contact, and feeling will come from that contact. See how much you can notice the contact as we do this chanting together. Directing awareness to the Buddha image that you can see on the screen or the one you have in the house. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami. Supartipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava araham samma sambuddho Vinga karana sampanno sugatolo kavidu anumtaro purisadam asarati samta deva manusanang buddha bhagavati Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Samdiktiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditamo Vimnyuhiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yaya Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samikhi Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pungala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Bahuneyo Da Kineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anumtarang Punya Ketang Lokasati. Requesting the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. Mayang Bhante Visung Visung Rakanataya Tisaranena Saha Panchasilani Yakchama Dutiyampi Mayang Bhante Visung Visung Rakanataya Tisaranena Saha Panchasilani Yakchama Tatiyampi Mayang Bhante Visung Visung Rakanataya Tisaranena Saha Panchasilani Yakchama. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panchasila. Panatipata Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Abstaining from taking life. Adinadana Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Abstaining from stealing. Kame Sumikchakchara Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Abstaining from sensual misconduct. Musavada Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Abstaining from false and harmful speech. Sura Meraya Majjapamadhatana Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Abstaining from using drinks and drugs that lead to carelessness. The principal teaching of the Buddha. Sabba papa sakaranang kusala supasampada sachitta pariyodapanang etang buddhana sasanang. Honoring the parents. Ananta guna sampanna janeti janaka upo mayang mata pitunang va padevandami sadarang etena satchavajena sada soti bhavantu me. Homage to the parents who gave us life. And homage to all teachers. Pacharacharya hunti gunutara pamya vudikarete te dinnovade namamiham etena satchavajena hotu me kaya mangalam. And finally, the metta bhavana. Sambe sapta sukhita huntu avera huntu ambya panja huntu anika huntu sukhiyatanang pariharantu. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from animosity. May all beings be free from oppression. May all beings be free from trouble. I'm going to take this opportunity to share a very short summary about this set of the four nutriments and what the significance is in terms of the system of the Buddha's teachings. There's a very famous story of a novice monk who was 7 years old, who became a fully enlightened arahant. And I'm not recalling if it was the Buddha or Sariputta who went to question this young novice, but they asked some questions. It was a quiz. And the first question was, ekonomikin, what is one? And the answer to that question is, all beings subsist on nutriment. And then the quiz goes on, what is 2, what is 3, what is 4, what is 5? And the little novice gives all the answers, including when it comes up to 10, he gives the Eightfold Noble Path, plus the knowledge of liberation and the reviewing of that knowledge of freedom and liberation. And it's from that that we know that that fellow had obtained a full awakening. So ekonomikin is in the traditional Buddhist countries. This is one of the first chapters of the catechism, what they give when they're teaching the Dhamma to children. And so most Buddhists kind of get a happy feeling and say ekonomikin, and that makes them remember when they were little kids going to the temple to receive their first instructions. So all beings subsist on nutriment. In that case, we would say that this teaching is part of the first noble truth. While we're in samsara, we have to subsist on nutriment. While we're going around on the cycle of existence, the 4 nutriments are the things which are supporting the coming into existence and supporting the continuation of existence. So I know that Ren is here with me, and she has very often asked questions about existence. And I don't know if you're an existential philosopher, but there is a kind of a crossing over between what the existential philosophers were concerned about and what the concern of this teaching is. What does it really signify that keeps our existence going? Why do we want to take up whatever is continuing our existence? Why are we almost impossible for us to stop taking up that which is continuing our existence? There is a kind of a transitional level where instead of taking up these things in a way that is triggering for the formations like greed and hatred and so on, that will tend to be unwholesome, that one can take the wholesome factors like the factors of awakening, and it's said that there are nutriments for strengthening the factors of awakening, and there are nutriments for, or there are ways in which one can denourish the hindrances. So the hindrances and the factors of awakening are not related to continuing our existence. They're related to the path to, it's the fourth, related to the fourth noble truth, which is the path to the cessation of suffering and how that path can be developed. So part of the study about the nutriments would be trying to fully understand how it is in nature that we keep going around and around taking up the nutriments. And then the second aspect of it is going to be, I'm turning my camera so that I can look at the people here in the room with me and look at you in that little screen at the same time. Then just considering nutriments as the form of causation, and then developing wisdom about causation, and as a transitional thing, having a healthy relationship with this process of the nutriments and gradually shifting it from something that's may be very dangerous to our progress, to something that's supportive to our progress, and then in the end, finding the way to step away from becoming, so we're not trying to become anything anymore. The four nutriments. The first nutriment is edible food, which provides for the continuation of this living body. And the unwholesome approach to edible food would be just like a dummy, just, they say there's three kinds of horses, I guess, and one horse is thinking, how can I please the master? And the last horse, the one who's a real dummy, is just thinking barley corn, barley corn, barley corn. He's just thinking, just give food. So that's kind of the thoughtless way, and the way which is not skillful, and not really any good is going to come to it beyond just having the body continue its existence. But then practicing mindfulness and clear comprehension towards the food, being able to take the food with a great deal of mindfulness and clear comprehension, noticing what our intention is when we take up the food, even like noticing taking the spoon or the finger, however we're picking up the food, and noticing as the food is coming toward the mouth how that feels, and as we put it in the mouth how it feels, what the contact and the sensations of that, and chewing the food, and wishing that the food would be for our health and not something just to make us have pleasure or fun or feel good, and so on like that. So that's kind of the intermediate stage with using the process of caring for the material body with food. Taking care of the material body with food, and doing it in a way which is moving towards wisdom and moving towards being disenchanted with suffering. Then the second nutriment is this phassa, or contact, which I was describing in the guided meditation, and which we've talked about several times. Has to do with the sense faculty, the internal sense faculty, the corresponding external object, the corresponding consciousness, which is capable of cognizing that type of a phenomenon, and the three of those coming together at the moment of contact, which is said independent arising, gives rise to Vedana. And one could also say that contact very quickly gives rise to perceptions. So the Vedana is more at the affective level, whereas the perception is in the domain of ideas, the cognitive domain, and then subsequently the other activities of the mind, sustained applied thought and sustained thought and intention and so forth, all are could be said to be conditioned by phassa. But in particular, it says to think of contact is the nutriment for feeling. Phassa is the nutriment for Vedana. Contact is the nutriment for feeling. That's that initial pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling. And if you could think about it in terms of your existence, if you didn't have contact, that would almost be terrifying, wouldn't it? Being in some way numbed out or anesthetized so that you couldn't feel a contact, or you couldn't have a sensation, or you couldn't have a Vedana, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Even sometimes people say that a person who's could be like paralyzed from the neck down, and so that person is not having any contact, so how is it that they're able to exist? But they still have from the neck up. so they're capable of actually a whole full range of experiences, and the whole contact is still able to happen. So even people who are impaired, or something is broken in the body, so that any part of the contact is subtracted, then the other parts sort of fill in the gap and come to a support the continued experience of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral to be like just as strong as before, and supporting the mental development. So that's sustaining our existence. Then the third of the nutriments is called mental volition, or in Pali, mano sancetana, and that would be the type of mental activities that determine karma. So any volitional action that's forming a karma has to begin with a volition. And because of karma, that would be the mano sancetana, by means of karma, would be the nutriment for renewed existence in one of the three realms of existence. So if you're forming volitions that are oriented towards the sensory realm, or the sense desire realm, this realm of humanity, if that's what you want, then you'll be forming karmas that take you to rebirth in that realm. If you practice the Brahma Vihara, the divine abidings meditations, or the jhana meditations, the fine material meditations, and you have got a lot of volition and wish and intention towards practicing those kinds of meditations, then that would take you to rebirth in the fine material realm, which is a heavenly realm. They say, a gentleman was here the other day was asking about the connection between loving kindness practice and obtaining jhana. And I mentioned at first that, well, at least even if you didn't have jhana, if your loving kindness can lead to heaven. And he said, yes, we know that. That's kind of like the definition why it's called a divine abiding, because loving kindness leads to heaven. And so if we want heaven, if we want to be as far away as possible from the hell realm, and we truly want the safety and pleasure of a heavenly life, a heavenly realm, then we practice loving kindness. That's what we can get. And likewise, the jhanas can also lead to it's a different kind of a heaven, but it's also a heavenly realm. It's very pleasant. And then the third realm is the immaterial, which leads by practicing the four immaterial attainments. One could be reborn in an immaterial plane of existence, such as the realm of boundless space, the realm of boundless consciousness, the realm of neither perception nor non-perception, and the realm of nothingness or no-thingness. And those realms are without the pleasant Vedana. They're quite neutral, but they're very still and stable, and it's all right. You're not hurting yourself while you're in that realm, but these are realms of becoming, where eventually through the process of karma, one eventually has to come around, and none of them is the same thing as the cessation of suffering, which is promised by the Buddha in Nibbana. So that's mano sanchetana, that's mental volition, is the nutriment for a renewal of existence. And then the fourth nutriment is called consciousness. This is vijnana, and it's said to be the nutriment for nama rupa, or for mentality and materiality. And this, in terms of the nutriment for the continuation of existence, it's very often described in terms of seeking a new existence. Consciousness descends into the mother's womb, into the fertilized egg, and then there's the meeting of the consciousness and the Namarupa that results in the beginning of a new being. In that case, the type of being who's born inside of a womb. There's many other ways to be born, but so then for the continuation of existence, if you've got a mind and body as well as consciousness, then life can continue. But life is not able to continue if either one of them falls away. So the two of them are said to be mutually supported during the continuation of a life, like two stacks of hay supporting each other. I'm not the actual operation of karma, the actual operation of consciousness as that which is taking us to continued existence. These are very deep subjects indeed, and I propose to not try to go into them tonight, but I'm thinking over the next 10 days or so to be sort of circling around different aspects of the nutriments, and then, as I say, the weekend after this weekend, September 8-9, we'll be having a Zoom retreat where we'll have a chance to try to pull it all together and maybe go into a deeper level. And I do think that there's a very the first two nutriments about edible food and contact. These are completely practical teachings and practices which can be developed by anybody, no matter what kind of ideas or how much understanding you have about the process of rebirth. You can still get a lot of gain by getting a healthy and a good, fully mindful, fully aware way of looking into and working with this necessity. We can't exist without edible food, and we can't exist without contact. So we have them, we're stuck with them. How can we deal with them in a wise way so that they're not taking us around and around in the cycle of rebirth? So now I'm going to pause here and invite questions, or I would invite further. I'm trying to see if I've got any monastics here. I have a Dhammavara bhikkhuni, and I have a seminary Tavira, and I have a seminary Satima are here in the room. So if anybody has a question or anything to add about how this nutriment practice seems like it might be relevant and of interest, or how we ought to pick it up and work with it. Or else what it was like for you attempting to meditate, being aware of the many thousands of moments of touches of contact that can be coming in even during a meditation sit. Okay, Damon.
Thank you, Aya. You mentioned that the first two are necessary for life, but could you say something about the remaining two that could be said that they also are nutriments that are necessary in moderation? For example, volitional, while it may be unskillful to aspire to, I don't know, unwholesome.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get my
Dan,
question?
I think I misspoke when I said, I should have said the first two. Actually, all of them are. I should withdraw that statement. The first one is necessary for material life, the edible food. Clearly, as you say, contact is necessary to continue to be alive. And volition is certainly necessary for continuation of life. And one can practice, just as you can practice taking the food with full awareness and full mindfulness, in order to let the clarity of your mindfulness overcome the tendency of being lost in greed. So the same way, having full awareness about contact can, the brightness of that can save you from getting lost in reactions to pleasant and unpleasant things. And having the clarity about intention, being really mindful, really alert, and knowing, like just calling up to mindfulness again and again, what is my intention here? That can be a protection from getting lost in unwholesome intentions, and help you to raise the level and have intentions that keep you on the path of practice.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I may reserve my statement about how the consciousness works, because it tends to be a little bit too philosophical, and I want to reserve that for a later time. But it's definitely true. The first three are really ones that are very workable, good, easy to use in practice.
Could you remember to repeat the questions?
Oh, sorry. I need to remember to repeat the questions, because the way we have a different sound setup today, and people in the room are not hearing it. Maitri.
Yeah. Yeah, can I understand contact as food for the six senses that leads to craving and tanha, and therefore, is that a good way to understand it?
Maitri's asking if, I'm repeating your question for the people in the room here, if contact is through the senses leading to craving and tanha. Yes, you can understand it that way. So craving, contact in the dependent origination, contact leads to Vedana, which is either feeling or sensation, and then the Vedana leads to tanha, leads to thirst, or leads to craving. So if we sense something unpleasant, we want to get rid of it, or we want to grab something pleasant to wipe out the thing that's unpleasant. And if something pleasant comes along, we want to open up and turn towards it and receive it and get it and make it last. And so, indeed, without mindfulness, feeling naturally leads to craving. Yeah.
So,
And
in that same sense, volitional thought can also be thought of as leading to continued existence. That you're creating karma.
yes, he's saying a volitional thought leads to continued existence because you are creating karma. So we cannot help having feeling, and we cannot help having volitional. So if I decided to offer some teachings about this theme of the four nutriments, and I reviewed some of the sutras and some of the teachings about that, and I prepared a talk and made a plan to talk about these themes for the next few days, then I did all of those things on purpose. All of those were volitional actions by me. So we can't avoid doing volitional actions, but we can escape making them into the type of karma that's leading us to be trapped on the cycle of rebirth by way of wisdom and full awareness. So even the Buddha, he decides to go to Rajagaha, and so he does it on purpose. He walks to Rajagaha, but he's not creating any more karma at that point. So it's the full understanding and the abandoning of attachment for existence or non-existence that makes it possible to have an intention, which is not part of that creating a new existence. But for an ordinary person who's not aware, doesn't have that wisdom, doesn't have that teaching, doesn't even contemplate the possibility of letting go of the craving for existence or non-existence, such a person like that is almost like in a trap if they don't know, if they don't understand the way out. I'm going to invite Richard, and I'm going to try. Okay, Richard.
Thank you, Aya. I don't know what sutta you're looking at in Majjhima Nikaya, the Sammaditthi Sutta number 9, where it says physical food is nutriment, and it says gross and subtle. So gross means solid or liquid, like earth type food or water type food. and subtle means heat or air. So those are the four things that keep your body going. You know, if you don't have enough heat, right, you'll die. Or if you have too much heat, you can die as well. Just like if you drink too much water, you can die. Many people don't know, but you can literally die from drinking too much water. You can poison yourself. So anyway, so those are the gross and subtle foods. As far as what's Bhikkhu Bodhi translates here as mental volition is the third. The Pali is mano sancetana. So mano means like one's own imagination, together with san, cetana, volition. So it means one's own imagination by one's volition. See what I'm saying? So that's how you look for things in the world. Oh, if only I had this, that would be so much fun or pleasure or whatever, right? If only I didn't have this, that would be fun and pleasure too. Or if you want to take rebirth or something, right? You know, oh, if only I took birth here, you know, in this world, in this place or whatever, you know, this type of family or life or whatever. So those are imaginative, mano, you know, ideas that you're, by your volition, you're bringing them up into your own mind and making those imaginative thoughts, and that, you know, keeps samsara going. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Oh, question. The 7-year-old children, the boy and the girl that became Sotapan, well, where is that referenced? I was looking for that, and I can't find it. Is that like in a commentary or some other volume or something?
It's in the Khuddaka Nikaya, in the Khuddaka Pata.
Oh, good. Okay, I didn't look in there. I looked in the 4 main Nikayas. Okay.
Yeah, I think
right.
it's like the second or third teaching in the Khuddaka Pata, which the Khuddaka Pata is a little small book that was almost like a catechism for children. It has the 10 precepts of a novice, and then it has the 3 refuges, and it has the little quiz, like what is 1, what is 2, and then it has the Karaniya Metta Sutta, and the Ratana Sutta, and the Mangala Sutta. So it has, and then it has and 2 other teachings in it. So it's a sort of a compact. It's a lovely book, and I don't know if it's almost not noticed in the West, but I heard that in Sri Lankan homes, it used to be that like it was like the one book, even more than the Dhammapada. It was one book that every family would have on their mantelpiece. So it's a very popular set of teachings, which seems simple but actually is profound and deep. Thank you for bringing that reference to the Samaditi Sutta. That's quite useful. And when you speak about mano, Richard, as being not just meaning mental, which is the common translation, but putting it in reference to, you say imagination, or it could be, like Tenestro talks about fabrication. So it's like the mind creates something. It's like with your mind, you create a castle in the air, and then you have to live in the castle that you created. So if you made a house that's lovely and full of flowers and beautiful, then that's the one where you get to live. Or if with your imagination you create a house that's a dungeon that's full of monsters and punishment, then you may go and live in that house. So that's sort of it's just my what comes to mind for me when you speak about mano in that terms of relating to imagination.
It's mano pubangama dhamma mano setta mano maya.
Yeah, mano pubangama dhamma mano setta mano maya manasache pasanena basati jakavutiva tatonam sukamandeti chayava anavayane. Mind is the master, mind is the leader. Whatever. Mind is the maker, mind is the leader. Whatever.
Actors speak with a defiled
Actors,
state of
yeah,
mind.
actors speak with, I'm going to give the good one, actors speak with a pure state of mind, and happiness follows as your shadow follows you without departing. So in that case, said mind is the leader, mind is the maker. Okay, Sheila? Okay, Sheila and then Ren.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I have one thing about that translation you just did.
Oh,
I would just say swap that with imagination or fabrication. Take the word mind out, and you'll see it actually works quite well. Because it's your imagination that's leading you here and there and getting you going all these places.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
thank you.
Anyways, it's just food for thought.
That verse was the second verse in the Dhammapada that I just quoted. Sheila.
Thank you, Aya. What word comes to mind during this talk is becoming, and is becoming, I guess, in those spaces of intention, or maybe that's just a question, where is becoming in the four nutriments in terms of existence? And is that an unconscious becoming in terms of grasping or clinging and tanha?
I believe it said that all four of the nutriments are contributing towards the continuation of Buddha, of becoming. Now, I've heard some intelligent people have said literally Buddha means becoming, so it's a dynamic process, not a static process. But they say it's really more proper to translate it as existence.
Bhava or Bhuta?
Bhuta. So Bhuta is the present tense of bhava. So they're both related to the same root. So Bhuta is sometimes called a being. So we could go back to the existential philosophers and we could read about being and nothingness. So Bhuta is considered a being who became something. So very often when they're talking about the fairies and the angels and so forth, they refer to them as Bhutas, as beings. So they're beings who became what they became. But this whole group of nutriment is referring to what is essential for a being to continue as a being, or a being who has yet to become a being to become a being. I could quote David Kalupahana. He's a philosopher. A human being who is dependently arisen could be referred to as a Bhuta, literally become, or one who's become. And the four nutriments are essential for such human beings to remain as human beings. Bhutanang va satanang titya, to be established as human, as beings. It requires the nutriments. Are for the beings who are yet to come, sambhavesina, to come into their existence.
Sheila, have a hand? Sheila?
Sheila just spoke. Oh, Ren, you had a hand up.
Thank you, Aya. I have a rudimentary question for clarification, really. When I listen to the four nutriment, especially the contact that leads to feeling, and then in relation to that, the volition, and then mental intention or something like that. Okay. Don't know if I said it precisely. That reminded me a lot of five aggregates. There's some overlap for me, and I am just asking it so that I could kind of perceive four nutriment versus five aggregate in the correct context. You know,
Yeah.
I think the four nutriment's more like about becoming, right?
Yeah.
Five aggregate is the hindrances.
Yeah. So, well, the Ren is asking about how to compare the four nutriments with the five aggregates, which is a good question. Even it seemed like David Kalupahana was trying to make the nutriments into the aggregates. So, in the standard teaching, the aggregates are thought of in terms of identity or identification. Like I identify that myself is in my body, or myself is the owner of my body, or my body is part of myself, or in some way or another, that each one of the five aggregates is an aspect or part of the significance of what is me, what am I, and so it does seem to, although I see the five aggregates as being quite dynamic, but the usual definition of it is more, I could say static or in terms of definition, but the nutriment is definitely a process. It's definitely the flow of causes and conditions. That as long as the nutriments continue to flow on, then those results will continue. Then if the nutriment ceases, then existence ceases, like that. So I think that that's, but they are addressing the same problem about the self from two different angles.
So you could consider the nutriments the fuel. You could consider the nutriments the fuel for the five aggregates? Like the wax for the candle?
Satima is asking whether the aggregates, whether the nutriments are the fuel for the five aggregates. And I'm going to say, I don't see it in the standard definition that it's stated in just that way. So we would have to look more deeply to see how those two sets of teachings are related. But it doesn't say that any one of them is the fuel for the five aggregates. So, yeah. Okay, Maureen. Oh, bless you for staying up so late.
I'm having to really work hard at this, but I kept thinking this is like dependent origination, and it's all conditioning, and how the nutriments we can use them in a wholesome way or in a harmful way to feed the next the conditioning for the next thing that they give rise to or support.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, I really struggle at this time. I really do.
I think you're exactly on the mark there, that the nutriment is a particular example of the general process of dependent origination. Yes, that's true. And when we look at dependent origination from the point of view of practice, there's the stream of dependent origination that is going downhill towards dukkha. And then there's the stream of cessation where it's all collapsing with the cessation of dukkha. And I would be fruitful to look at what is said in the sutras about the nutriments and just compare those two sets to see if they're telling you something, like a different way of looking at it that would be helpful or beneficial for our practice. Why did the Buddha give this particular teaching? Why is this particular set of items and metaphors useful to us in our practice? This is what we shall be exploring during the next week and a half. Okay, dear friends, I know that I haven't used up all the time that the Wat Pah Nadastran usually uses, but I hope you would forgive. I feel a sense of completion about this teaching, and I think it would be very good if we could join together and offer our respects to the Triple Gem. Oh, here's Seminary Tavira. You have something to tell us?
Yes, I just wanted to mention something, just recognizing and celebrating that today is the 13th anniversary of the first all Theravada dual Sangha ordination in North America, actually in the Americas, which was held at Aranya Bodhi Hermitage in 2010, with Ayatthaloka serving as preceptor and Ayasobana supporting. And that was actually only the second all Theravada dual Sangha ordination outside of Sri Lanka, with the first one being in Australia, also supported by Dhammadharini. So just recognizing and appreciating this landmark in the reestablishment of the Bhikkhuni Sangha in the Theravada tradition, and appreciating the monastics ordained at that ordination, which was the Amatana Santi, Aya Adimuti, Aya Palinyani, and Aya Suvijana. So just recognizing and appreciating all of them today.
Thank you for that comment. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Okay, thank you everybody for your patient listening.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you.
Thank you, Aya. Good night. 3 bow to the teacher.
Sabbe Buddha Bala Pata Pachekanam Jayang Balam Navahantanam Chitejena Vakambhanami Sabaso.
Good night, Aya.
Good night.